And welcome to yet another morning of struggling to get the bloody stove to light.
So yesterday went better than anticipated. I went through less water, at least till I got here. Last night was another very windy, kind of restless night. The wind kept waking me up, and unfortunately my tinnitus has been so bad lately, earplugs drive me nuts because it just isolates me with the sound. Assuming the last marked water source is still functional, I have 14 more dry miles, so I am relaxing a little bit as far as my water usage. I should be able to limp through that. My foot did manage to get through yesterday fairly well, though it'll be a few days rehabbing it, based on past experience. I spent this morning editing videos and looking ahead. I had planned to do Pie Town to Winston, down in the Black Hills area as a food carry. That was going to be 154 miles. I think I'm going to change that. As much as I hate dumping food in Pie Town, there'll probably be a hiker box. And if I go to reserve, that'll just make it 100 some miles because I can carry 7 days of food on my back. I've done 10 going into the Sierra because we did the straight through thing when we were on the PCT. But that plus having 7 liters of water on my back, there are limits. And even if I can do it, if you weigh yourself down like that, there's a bigger chance of getting injured, and it just slows you down, hurts you more. So is it ridiculous carrying extra water weight just so I can sit here and enjoy coffee in the morning? Probably, but A few weeks ago, people were apparently running into people harvesting pinyon pine nuts all over the place out here. I haven't seen a single vehicle. This morning, it's just been me and a whole heck of a lot of crows, which keep talking to me from the surrounding trees. Rather have crows than squirrels. You get a squirrel, they'll realize you're here, get angry, and they'll spend forever like chittering and dropping stuff on you. So I have 38 miles into town. I have only one more dinner. If anything, I'm probably more limited on power. I got wrapped up in some town developments a day or so back and actually had to charge my phone in the middle of the day, which means I am spending way too much time with the cellular antenna on. Normally, if I go with just on airplane mode, I will charge up to 60% or so, and I'm good till the end of the day, and then I just charge in the morning while I'm drinking my coffee. Taking videos and editing videos eats a lot more power. If I wasn't doing that, I could stretch it a lot more. I have that Anker battery, that 24K I bought. Yeah, that's a little ridiculously heavy, etc. And then I have this Yield 10K, which I bought from Walmart, which has actually worked way, way better than that damn Nightcore, not to rant about their brand again. As far as this 24K, I'm not sure if this is going to be my permanent battery or not. It's a little bit heavy, a little bit bulky. Might just have to pay the weight penalty there. But not all batteries are made equal. You can find people online who have actually done discharge testing on them, basically seeing how much power they actually have. Because when they say 24K, you're not actually getting 24K out of it. You'll be down at like 18, 16K, something like that. So you can see on this Walmart battery, it says both rated capacity and actual capacity. So it should fill my phone about twice. And I think the iPhone is currently around like 35, 38K, something like that. I do miss my solar panel setup from the canoe. Not practical at all for hiking. I do occasionally find somebody who'll argue with me on that, but everything I've tried has not worked out. They're too delicate, and you got to have really, really minimal power needs. And if you're going to have that minimal power need, I mean, you can get one of these little, dinky 10K batteries, and you'll be even lighter and less hassle. So I've talked about the various foot issues and things I have, and I've had, 1 or 2 injuries across the years out on trail. Interestingly enough, the best thing I've found as far as Bandaids are these Curade, I don't even know what you'd call them. I think they're for knees. And that's originally why I got them, because I've had a bad habit of skinning my knees over time, and then you're like managing it, and it bleeds into the long johns at night, and not so great. These hold up pretty well, and I was even able to keep one on the bottom of my foot for a big chunk of yesterday, so I might have to grab more. I think I get them at Walmart. Plus, check it out, colors. So I used less water yesterday while hiking. I used more water overnight than I'd hoped, just because dry wind and everything. I am trying very hard to get rid of most of the water out of the CDT though, because this thing is such a pain to carry. Honestly, if I end up having a lot more of these longer carries, I'm just going to get a gallon jug and carry it in my hand, I think. I went 39 years with short hair and grew it out when I was on the PCT during COVID, et cetera, et cetera. And Jen likes it long, so I've been kind of like keeping it. But I have a new appreciation for all the women I've known with long hair. I don't think of all the people I've dated, I've ever even gone on like a second date with somebody with short hair, as it turned out. Granted, they weren't dealing with this kind of curly mess that I have and trying to maintain it over weeks and weeks and weeks. Jen's hair hangs a lot straighter. Mine goes poof and tangles, and it's just, in general, more difficult. Kind of suitable for me, huh? I watch things like that Vikings TV show, and all I can think on like every scene is that is completely unrealistic that their hair is that manageable. So I mostly manage it through restraining it and just trying to get through the day. So I did end up doing better on the water carry than I feared. Partially that was just because, as it turned out, this entire section is pretty good dirt roads. I've got about another 8 miles until I'm back on trail. And that let me make a little more consistent mileage versus before that. Single track was beautiful, but there's a lot of these little rocky ups and downs. Last year in the Great Basin, that was one of the longer water carries, and it was still pretty warm. Like I had to wait out the heat of the day and hike in the evening, that sort of thing. And I came a lot closer to running dry than I would prefer, so I'm a little bit gun shy, hence the packing out. Let's see, what would that be, like 14 pounds worth of water yesterday? Feels noticeably chillier this morning, which does fit with the last forecast I saw. It was going to get warmer for a couple of days and then colder. Plus, higher altitude, you get a couple of degrees change for every 1,000 feet generally. If I'd started any earlier, I would have just kept my long johns on. Brr. So I haven't seen any vehicles. I did hear a while back what sounded like a big rig air braking off in the distance. But sometimes sound can carry a long way, longer than you'd expect. I remember being out in the desert, camped in the middle of nowhere, swearing we were hearing a ghost train because there wasn't anything anywhere near us. So I decided to drink everything down to just my hard-sided water storage. So I currently have 4 liters on my back. So I was able to get a cell tower, check weather. It looks like, yeah, the cooling trend is here. Highs in the mid to low 50s, lows in the 20s. I'll check again in Grants because, lower down by a ways. But looks like I'm back to freeze precautions for the next couple of nights. I assume that's Mount Taylor. That's been one of those things I've been looking out for, and every time I see something in the distance, it ends up being just a bump. It is really hard to judge distances like this. There is an alt that goes up and over the top. An honest-to-God alternate, not a shortcut, which is what most of these alternates are out here. I like climbing peaks. I tend to find when I'm on the longer trails, it's just not worth it. When I look back, it's not, on the get. It was cool doing Maple Peak, but most of the memories and things come from just the distance and those little random things that happen along the way. Plus, anything out west, I kind of figure reasonable chance I'll be back out here again and can do it some other time. I was a little more aggressive on bagging like state high points and things while I was along the AT because I figured less likely to be out there. Frustratingly enough, I just happened to notice there is a unmarked off-trail water source. There was a comment at one of the road junctions. I usually try and step through all those just to check for things like that, help me plan my water carries and whatnot, but there's just so many of them out here. It's great having far out, but it does feel like the waypoints on this particular trail, 80+% of them are just worthless. They either mark things like drainages that don't ever seem to have water based on the comments, or old road crossings where, there's probably not going to be any reason to go down one of them. And yet other things like where there actually are water sources that seem to be flowing for a good chunk of the hiking season, there's no comments, so you have to leave them 4 miles away and just say, oh yeah, go another 4.2 and you'll see water running across the trail. Again, it's just frustrating because you have to dig into them to get the comments. And since an update, I don't know, earlier this year, I think, Far Out has had a lag when you open the waypoints to view comments. I suspect it was around when they started re-architecting things to try and do the AT in one big map versus just the sections. So you have to hit it, wait for it to load, scroll down, hit it again, wait for it to load. First world hiker problems, huh? My magical handheld Jesus phone doesn't do everything just perfect, and I am slightly inconvenienced. The trail next year is just a GPS track, so I won't be back on a Far Out thing for a while, unless I do like an early season PCT segment like last year. Well, that's unexpected. Wish I'd known about this a day ago, you know? So it looks like those were left on the 27th for a Far Out comment. Oh well, I am still packing 3.5 liters. And then a little bit up the trail from the last one, there's another one though. It seems abandoned. Okay, that's it for that road walk. First 7 miles went pretty well today. So I have another 12 miles or so of mixed climbing on what looks like a trail as near as I can tell. It's really hard to tell what you're going to be hiking just looking at Far Out. And there'll be water sources. I am hoping I can do 20-ish miles today and set me up to maybe get into town the next day. So technically this is the end of that 24-mile dry carry. I still have about 2 liters on me though, so I may push on to the next one. Oh, that's a little less than appealing. Yeah. That is one green looking water source. Okay, 9,700. This is the high point before town. Unfortunately, I'm limping. Did 19 plus miles already. I'm just trying to get to a water source and then I'll probably have to pull over. As much as I'd like to keep pushing on, I need to be able to hike tomorrow. Okay, it's a little before 5. Smart move would have been to stop at the spring a little bit behind me. That was off trail though, and in a little under 2 miles, there is apparently some sort of a spigot right on trail. Now the downside is that spigot has frozen a couple of times, so if I'm going to use it, I better get to it tonight. I may be pushing it in the dark a little today. 1 more mile, assuming there's water. Okay, far end of the alt, and as promised. So I followed the piping and got here to this tank. If I had to guess, it's empty. I did find a nearby trough though. Man, well, I'm not sure what's going on, but At least I got something usable. Okay, grabbed water out of the trough. I could have scraped through, but getting into town would have been a little rough. It has gotten cold. It is supposed to be freezing, so I'm taking freeze precautions. Got all my layers on, so home sweet home for tonight.